What's up, everybody? This is the League Lounge episode 1, our first episode and talk show of this league. So, I'm here with our guest, Proof Click of the Proof Click League, and today we're going to be talking about the 2022 patch notes and idea on draft comps based on this patch notes. So, just a short introduction. Who are you, Proof, and what organization you run? Obviously, I just stated, but just say some details on what you run and such.
Yeah, first of all, thank you, Kim, right, for letting me be here. I don't know what you had in plan. You had like plans for it. You told me, "Yo, proof, let's do a talk show about," and I was like, "All right, you just had me at the talk show, like whatever, right? Let me get my notes together. Let me hop on. I am a shoutcaster and tournament organizer. So for those who are out there and want to join any sort of things, unfortunately, I think my last league that I did was going to be for this year. So I don't know any upcoming tournaments, but I know Kim, you're doing your league, so that's an option for people out there who want to join and play. But yeah, regarding of like in regards to what I do, shoutcaster and content creator. I've been making some guides here and there on YouTube. But if you guys want to follow me, check out my Twitch, Proof Click on there. And yeah, I guess we're here to talk about the preseason, right? That's actually it's good that you note that because the finals that I'm doing for PCL, which is Proof Click League, where we have diamond, not diamond, platinum division and gold division. Gold division is over already. What's remaining is the plat division, and that's going to be over soon this week, I believe. But the problem is they're going to be playing on the new kind of patch. They're going to be playing,
Oh.
yeah, you know what I'm saying. So it's definitely going to be interesting. Currently with the admins, we're trying to see the like the patch notes and stuff like that. And not only that, some items we have to test on PBE before we let the players play with it. So we might even have like a ban list of the items they can pick or not pick. That's what we're going for that.
All right. Well, I was just gonna give a short introduction to you, also a little bit of details too, but I guess you just already skipped towards the 22 patch notes already. So let's just get
Hmm.
right to it. Okay. The first thing we're gonna talk about is objective bounties. Now, because of this patch, that gives off a advantage to disadvantaged teams, if you know what I'm talking about. So they're actually increasing some objective bounties for those who are in the lead with such as drakes, heralds, turrets, and baron and elder. So according to this, they're giving an extra gold to to how much objectives you can secure and manage to take over in terms of advantage. So let's say, for example, Drakes and Herald gives you, and Baron and Elder gives you an extra 500 gold each, Drakes and Herald. Versus a T1, T2 turret is 250 gold for T1, T2 for 400, base turret for another 400. So, what do you think about this kind of situation for people who are teams that are at an advantage of such games and such?
Well, I just want to talk about like the whole thing in general. Like you just went right for the juggler there, right? Like mentioning the first detail, but I just want to mention the fact that there's so many changes. First and foremost, changes are good, right? In
Right.
a game, you don't want to be stagnant. You don't want to go through the same stuff because then like there's no reason for people to get better and no reason for people to do anything differently than they're doing. So the winners will just stay winning. Maybe even like allows for people who are bad at the certain patch to get better. But the thing is, once always it's in motion, it's going to be problematic for a lot of. Um, it's essentially do or die at that point, right? And that's why I like change. Change is good. Every time that league implements certain change, I think for the long run, it's good. The only thing, problem I have with it is like the early stages of it, right? When everything is said and done, is it going to be buggy? Is it going to be like not balanced? Which kind of comps are going to abuse it the most? Because in solo queue it's one thing, and 5v5 it's a totally another thing because it's not the same, right? it's
Right.
it's really not the same mechanic in solo queue. If you want to make the game shorter, yes, these items that you release definitely going to have an impact to it. Like for example, like do mages need mythic items, for example, right? Like that's for mythic items that defend themselves, like make them tankier
Yeah.
and harder to kill. Like okay, that's just like that's actually very extreme when you think about it because it changes the whole playstyle so much and it makes the glass cannon mid laner so hard to get through because you already have all these beefy frontliners and then now you're trying to assassinate the mid lane, you're trying to assassinate their carries, and then boom, you can't because of what? One mythic item that literally protects them. So these are the little things here and there to talk about. But do you want to talk about what the bounties, Kim? You want to touch up on what you think about that?
Obviously, as you mentioned before, people do have an advantage when it comes to objectives and such bounties. That if you're already winning ahead of the game, you're already winning the game itself. But what I do notice that Riot might did a little bit of like a good thing also is that for the losing team, they also have an advantage for bounty too. So if they're falling,
Hmm.
it says right here, if they're falling behind, that they're also getting another bounty of Drake's getting 800 gold, Barrett 800 gold, and Tower's also getting a 400 gold to 640. This is for the losing team. So this one I absolutely thought about. That's actually a pretty good thing for losing teams to catch up and such because not only that, it's actually double the gold. When you think about it, double the gold for the losing team to manage to catch up, to manage to come back from any team fights that seems impossible, but also can secure in a more inconvenient way. Because looking at here is every Drake you get now is 800 gold. Baron for that is
Hmm.
also 800 gold. And now every tower that you gain, like if again this is the losing team, 400 gold to 640 gold. So what do you think about that? That's actually pretty good in my opinion to think that losing teams will actually think about, oh, we're gonna end up losing the game, we might as well FF, right? But no, they're actually giving us a chance to like they're giving us the losing teams a chance to come back from any like such like inconvenience and such. So what do you think about that?
Well, the first thing, right? They did the same thing for the beginning, right? I think this last season. I don't know when they introduced the bounties on champions themselves. So, I mean, let's just analyze the champions bounties. Like, has it been useful? I mean, short answer for that would be yes, and a long answer for it, well, you could argue like, okay, in some instances, in the beginning it was bad, or the implementation of it, the idea of it is good, but it just makes it just prolongs the games of the low so much, you know. It just prolongs the games for, I don't know, like gold and below.
I'm sorry, are you done?
Wait a minute, wait a minute. Is I'm just checking the stream.
Yeah.
Do I have anything else on here? Oh, never mind. Okay. Yeah, sorry. I just zoned out there a little bit. I'm just checking the audio. But yeah, that's what I'm gonna say, dude. The first time it worked. I think the second time, why not? It's gonna make it possible now that you have gold bounties on turrets, which is gonna incentivize teams to essentially play better early, which is a principle in league. You got to coordinate early and collaborate. I think having intel, having
Mm.
I think they should do something with like how to track the jungler better early on, like in terms of maybe wards, maybe add maybe the possibility of getting the blue trinket early would be so broken too. Like you could just like you only have it at level 9, but like something like that I also like intel. Something early game that, yeah, if you're snowballing, there are also checks and balances. Every game needs those checks and balances, and having those um, ways that you can come back in a game obviously crucial to make that game very healthy. Because what's incentivizes people and teams to not just FF, like you said, right? You're just gonna FF, especially in solo queue. But then if you play around the objectives well, if you play around with the team well, then you have a possibility of getting back in that game and maybe even winning it. So I do like that mechanic. I've always liked that mechanic. Imagine the game without gold bounties, right? It's
It's still the
it's gonna
same
be
thing.
very fast.
I mean, it's still the same thing though. Even with or without gold bounties, it just matters about who's ahead, who's falling behind because the objectives itself. Because your goal as a jungler is to what?
Hmm.
If there's no objectives at all, then what is basically the role of the jungler then? It's only gank then which laners already expected. But now with objectives at hand, like for example
Hmm.
Scuttle, the Gromps, the red buff, blue buff. I can't really remember the names. I'm not bad at them. But apart from that, Drake's, Heralds, Elder, and Baron and such, those appear now, and that gives a jungler a harder time to especially work around those kind of info and such. So that's actually a good thing when you think about it to get more competition. Um,
Hmm.
Again, it's just I just even without it, with it, it's still the same thing. So that's what I would consider as. Anyways,
Well,
oh
mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say like the 5v5 aspect of it, right? Like you got to also think about like how this would be abused not in like solo queue, but in the hands of people who know that what they're doing in the macro, um, and rotation wise, right, and stuff like that. Whenever you do allow somebody on the team, on a losing team, to get back in a game, let's say like they have a Zaya ADC who is the only lane who's that's doing good, or the only player or the champion on their team that's going positive, or just has enough CS to even build items, right? Everybody else on the team is not doing that good, and now it's you're staring at a gold deficit that's probably like what, like 4K, 3K, something along those lines. But then on the other side, if there's a gold bounty of like 700 on just one person, and the Zaya gets that gold bounty, like she's able to carry that game. You know what I'm saying? So it's
Yeah.
like in situations where you're getting starved of resources and the other team has like a gold bounty and you do get it, it makes it so where you're getting in the game back. And then if you play through Zaya and the win cons for your team and you know what you're doing, it's actually very potent. And I think that's one of the things, one of the takeaways from that system. And now implementing it on objectives is going to be good. I think having it on objectives definitely going to incentivize more players to play macro instead of micro.
Yeah. Anyways, now moving on to which we mentioned about junglers itself, the
Hmm.
objectives at whole, the drakes, the new drakes that are coming out, the Chemtech Drake and the Hextech Drake. Now,
Hmm.
this is the one thing I'm a little bit 50-50. I mentioned this way beforehand, but I did mention that there's a 50-50 relationship for me liking this and hating this. One I like is the Hextech Drake because the buff that you get from Hextech when you get the soul is the Hextech gates. And now with the gates coming up, that is basically positioned to where you can either move from one area to another, just in case you're moving away from a team fight like that seems like you're losing. You could basically just portal yourself out of there, or start with the engage or go with the engage by surprise and manage to get like a good hit out of this. So what do you think about just starting off the Hextech gates and the Hextech Drake?
Yeah, those drakes are definitely gonna make the game more competitive. I do like it. Which one is the more broken one? I
I
forget.
think
Which
I
one?
I think it's the Chemtech Drake, the one
The
you get
Chemtech,
the Cyan buff we
the
call it.
Cyan one. Yeah, the Cyan, the one that makes you like, dude,
Zombie.
that's just so fun. Like, I casting that is gonna be a nightmare for sure. Like casting game fights, I'm just thinking about it as from a play-by-play perspective. It's gonna be a definite nightmare, but it's gonna be fun. So the team fights are gonna be longer, and that's due to the fact that we have such game-breaking mechanics like that hex tech, right? That hex tech
Right.
gates that you're talking about. I don't know about the chemtech though. Is the chemtech the one that makes you like essentially? Which one was that one?
That was a zombie one, the one I mentioned, the Chemtech.
The chemtech or the hex tech?
So basically, I'm looking at it right now. The Hex Tech
Hmm.
is actually the gates part. The Chemtech is the Cyan one. But what I do notice about the Hex
Yeah,
Tech,
the gates is when you just go like in the loop and you get out of the other one. That's what the
yeah,
hex
yeah,
tech is. So
yeah,
it's like that one's also broken. Not gonna lie. Like I think that one is fun. Like that one is so fun that I think that like if you are someone who
mm.
just started playing League, to you it might not be that important, but you're telling me that you go in one portal and out the other. Like that is so fun
Well,
for teams, especially in competitive environments.
right,
It's gonna be hard to track, but you could do a lot of things with it, like backdoor, like split push, get back to the team. You don't even have to run TP if you essentially have a win con like that. But obviously, it's up to luck at that point, right? You could so this is what I'm saying. I think Riot is going so much on the macro that gonna incentivize players to know more how to wave manage, how to rotate, how to play. Like if you're playing a tank versus a carry, how do you go about that? You can't kill the carry over the top side if you're an Ornn into anybody at that point, right? You could. I
right,
mean, Ornn has a kill potential too. But yeah, I'm just talking about like tank versus tank, tank versus carry. What do? You're incentivized to group, wait for your power spikes if you're the carry, things like that. The things
yeah.
like that a lot of players need to know in the macro. I like that Riot is pushing them towards that way.
Well, here's another thing too. obviously for hex tech gates, it comes a certain cooldown, right? So I'm looking at it
Hmm.
right now, and this says each pair of hex gates has a 30-second individual cooldown per champion. So it's individual, meaning I'm assuming that, like for example, all five champions can go in at once, and then once,
Hmm.
but you can never, but you can never go to that same every other gate for 30 seconds. So that's kind of
Yeah.
so that kind of thing is a relationship for the jungler itself, I believe, because if you think about it, this actually gives a huge advantage for any jungler that wants to
Hmm.
like steal camps and all that too. Like for example, if you think you're ahead of the game, then you want to use those gates as an advantage to just dive into it, get some people low. And here's the worst part. Here's the worst part, I believe. If you're ballsy enough to actually invade someone's camp at a late game,
Hmm.
and that person actually goes to the gate and goes back to, let's say, your side of the camp, and the whole team's there, oh, you're screwed. So I think that's this
Yeah.
point. I think that's the point that the Hexa gates relates to more of the jungler itself, because that part where you have to figure out is that it kind of revolves around, say, um, as I mentioned before, invading camps, securing objectives itself, and just in case someone actually is pushing up on the lane itself, you can use that portal to teleport all the way back to where, let's say for example, let's say for example the Rift Herald is, for example. So you can
Hmm.
send a portal back, send it all the way back to your blue side. Then you can actually go back up to the Herald, and where you're safe and sound, and you're with your teammate that's actually securing the Herald and all that.
It's gonna look like a zoo, with everybody running around and prancing around. You got everybody just going nuts, right? I think that's what we're gonna see. But also, I want to talk about like one thing that I want to talk about is lethal tempo and glacial augment editions are kind of like being they're being updated, right? The first also there's another rune. I don't know if you heard, but first strike
Oh yeah, no,
is
yeah.
being added. Yeah, that's also something, right? Like lethal tempo glacial augment, are like the two of the longest standing runes for many of these patches, and I don't know who uses it like still like for at least glacial augment. Like I don't like besides Senna, right? Um, but they want to make it
I
so it's up par with the rest of the rune trees, which I agree, totally agree with that.
I
What's the
think
point of having those runes if you're not gonna really use it, right?
right.
To make the tree more captivating for players.
I think Glacial Augment is gonna be more focused on top laners, like for
Hmm.
example, like Jax and all that too. Because if you manage to get the first ability or first hit within that champion, they end up getting slowed, right? So I feel like that now with that Glacial Augment to be adjusted itself, I feel like
Hmm.
lethal tempo's already been set for ADCs and such, just so you can actually position attack speed and such. But for Glacial Augment, I feel like that's gonna be focused on the top laner itself, because you can be able to slow down people and create this sort of 2v1 system here. And that also plays to bot lane too, but I think this Glacial Augment rune, which now is going to be focused towards the top laners, because remember, if we recall, the top lane don't have that much impact in the game before. So and now with this, I feel like that's gonna be a huge impact. But also, I'm gonna talk about that later on, anyways.
Hmm.
But I do want to mention about the going back to the Hex Tech Drake. This one is actually what I like about it. When you gain a soul, they gain a chain lightning slow on the next basic attack. Static
Hmm.
shift. Base in this turn, static shift is coming back when you think about it. You don't have to like describe it in terms, but aren't you hyped that they're bringing back at least the static shift passive?
Well, yeah, I'm hyped for a lot of things, Juicy Kim, but it's just to me, it's just like I'm one of those observers or casters that I just want to see how things are gonna fall into place. Because
Mm.
if it's too chaotic, because all these updated, if it's too chaotic to keep track of all these things, and then you just get like massive changes in the meta where nobody's really going for laning phase anymore. Like you could
Mm.
literally just stop laning and go for your power spikes and then group up. You know, you got so many drakes. Like we said, it's like mostly macro, right? At that point, I'm sure we've seen a lot of people not even care about laning. In the challenger scene, there's this Katarina, right? I always use this example just to showcase that you don't have to be a good laner to win games, and you could just possibly even understand the macro slightly and then get ahead every single time depending on your power spikes, depending on your champion.
Right.
And I just want to ask to you, Kim. First of all, is your league happening during the preseason, or what's up with that, or how many teams you got so far who are signed up for it? Like, what are the details in regards to that? Because I want to see like how the team's gonna adapt in the league.
Well, first of all, unlike an actual league where we have seasons and all that too, this league is gonna be focused around using a MSI format and a Worlds format. So it's not gonna be like
Mm-hmm.
consecutive. This is gonna be like a short-term 2 month system tournament for more convenient events such as like I mentioned before, MSI and Worlds, because nobody in your rightful minds would ever think about creating a league that is comprised of an actual international format. And people don't like that because it'll take too much effort for that. But I want to be the first to step in and be able to like show the people like, um, if you don't want to do it, then I'll be the one to actually make up the league for it with
Wait a
some
minute.
details to it and such.
So you're saying like tournaments that are like 2 months long, like leagues like that?
No, no,
Is that
no.
what you're saying?
I'm saying that I don't think there's any leagues that do like a short term international events where it's comprised, like for example, your proof is more like long term, like a little bit
Mm-hmm.
around like over 6 months or so, like because it's like a seasonal event. But
Mm-hmm.
for me, I want to make sure it's on the more like, I don't want them to feel too much pressure over time being over the length, but I want to make sure it's
Mm-hmm.
just straight to the point, concise, concise, definite, like a schedule there all the teams that are realizing like takes too much time. I don't want to deal with this
Mm-hmm.
kind of situation. So I thought about it. It's like, what would be best in the mid season, then at the end of the year, because at that point, leagues Riot's always doing new things at this point, and with this whole new year, that is to be a good time to just get used to the whole 6 month of getting used to the drakes, getting used to the items, getting used to the runes, because
Mm-hmm.
it's a new thing. You said change is good. So I thought about it, it's like we actually want to make good change to it. And now starting
Mm-hmm.
in I'll make this next announcement right here. May to June, we actually the ASE League will be doing the MSI somewhat related format, and then all of the teams I asked, all the organizations that I invited will, if they're interested, if they're bringing up anybody, will compete against each other to determine who
Mm-hmm.
is going to be the top org that actually like is the top org. Yeah. So
Gotcha.
all that will be discussed later on, but overall, I think we have plenty enough time to solo wise to get used
Mm-hmm.
to these changes right here. So, anyways, going to the chem tank here. We already talked about the hex tech. Now we're going to the chem tank drink, the zombie
Mm-hmm.
Scion buff right here. If you get the soul right here, you actually get a, what does it say? It's you receive a buff that grants them as brief second life upon their next death. Champions revive within 80% of base health with plus 50% of bonus health, blah 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 blah. There's also something that, where it is. It says gas zones emerge from four jungle locations.
Oh.
Ooh. Oh, okay. Gas zones emerge in four jungle locations that camouflage any champions within it. Champions with the zone deal up to 10% more damage to enemies who have more current health than them. Maximum damage is achieved when at 340 to 1020, less health than them. So I'm confused on this point right here, because camouflage, I get it. That actually sounds a little bit good, but um, this whole gas thing about gaining a damage while you're low in health sounds a little bit off, because you, that means there are no certain locations that,
Mm-hmm.
let's say for example a jungler is fighting another jungler. If that jungler is low in health within that area, that person who is invading, that, like say for example blue to red, that blue sided player, jungler, is gonna lose it, because as soon as the red jungler goes low in health, they have more damage. So I think at this point the gas thing isn't good at all, because that means that once they go into that location, that territory, the other jungler is just gonna back up and go to their side of the jungle and safely farm. The only thing I realized is that
Yeah.
certain locations only give off, like let's say right here, only red buffs. Blue buff is the
Mm-hmm.
only one that is not inside the gas chamber. Wait, I don't know way to say that. That's not inside the gas zone. I mean, not the gas chamber, the gas zone. So only the red buff is inside the gas zone, which that is. I'm not sure how I react towards that. So what do you think about that?
Well, obviously, like there are a few things and few changes Rad is focusing on this year's preseason, right? Like I think I don't know, man. I think it's for me. It's still too early to like look into it. Obviously, there's a lot of items to still yet to be tested on PBE. How they interact with the champions, how buggy they are. Because I know a lot of the times when they have items or they have like zoning abilities, like there's gonna be bugs. Like you know what I'm saying? Like there's
Yeah,
gonna be some things that are not quite working like the way they want it to work. So maybe in reality, like they have, like no, on paper they have like okay this is the stat line, this is what's going to happen, and then when it comes to practice it's like 100, it's like 90% of the efficiency that they deemed it to be in the first place, right? For example, like for winter approach, or winter's approach, that's going to be an item for 400 health, 500 mana, right? It's ability hit, so it's like they want you to gain mana in this item, which is like I don't know what the purpose of that is. Like it's a mana gain. Is it like meant to be early usage? And then it's like is it to be like a lane bully? Like it's just so many things that are questionable right now that I don't know to definitely answer on these things. And then there's other items that totally like are scary. Like to me, like I'm just like God no. Like if a mage is gonna be tanky, it's gonna just throw everything off. The itemization, the play style for teams we're already just used to one thing, and then just to completely throw it off because it feels like the changes are heavy hitting, like you're saying, Cam, right?
yeah.
Um, what's your take on like do you think the things that we see right now on paper is definitely what we're gonna be getting first and foremost? Because I feel like that's an important thing to address as well.
Um. Well, like I said, that's the part where I did mention before. I am 50-50 on that. So I don't know. Obviously, we don't know what's gonna happen yet, but as far as I know,
Hmm.
I think that it's still there's still gonna be some legitimacy for these kind of drakes and such to have these kind of like systems for the jungler and such. Like I said, this the drakes are mostly just for the junglers, because I did mention the top laners don't have any impact for that. And therefore when you think about it, the junglers are gonna have less impact for that too. So I think they're focusing more on the top lane, the top side events that's gonna happen. So I think that's actually a little bit what I'm expecting for, but at the same time, that's what I'm not really like looking forward for.
Yeah, and like there's this other item like creates zones, like frozen zones for a few seconds that slows the enemies and like reduces their damage by 15%, like these type of items that are just gonna be like so game breaking in team fights and other things considered. I do like the map changes that they're making, right? Making the map more interesting, adding a few more drakes, like because we all know that ocean and cloud are one of the um among the worst drakes to get. I mean, it's I don't want to say it like that, but you understand what I'm saying. Like
Yeah,
essentially, you want to prioritize the infernal, you want to prioritize the mountain, and now adding the a few drakes to that like to into the bot side pit. I do like the idea of that and expanding the thematic possibilities of what empowers a dragon and like how that changes the map is gonna kind of lay out the next few patches, and how the meta sets and like these professionals or semi-professional leagues. You're gonna end up seeing that the game is totally altered and how the game plays out is going to be way different because of the map transformations, right? So that's
yeah,
first and foremost. I think the most exactly because like right now, what we're doing is like looking at the items itself, like and looking at how the game's gonna pan out. I just want to see how the meta is gonna change, right? Like how do you think in bigger picture? Because right now in Worlds we saw everything starts mid and then goes top, or there's teams that are like bot side centric, and then we got of course topside carries. Now, how is the new patch and how's the new season going to impact the play styles? Because we're seeing, for example, for C9, Fudge taking a role swap going mid,
Oh, we don't
things
know.
like that.
We don't know. We don't know about that proof.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So
There's
there's things like that.
there is confirmation. There is confirmation and such, but again, it's not 100% yet. But don't just trust on what C9 and all that got to offer. Because although, yes, there are certain iterations about there's certain like thoughts about how a player can actually impact on a new like development that it is. I think that there's gonna be some. I think it's still gonna be there's gonna be some aspects to where um you want to figure out how your team reacts towards that, and at the same time you as a solo player want to focus on how um the team environment goes out too. So I think this new patch here is just gonna relate. It's just gonna affect a lot of things, but overall, I think, like I said, this is just gonna be mostly a jungler thing. This is just gonna be mostly
Hmm.
where team fights are gonna happen often, but this will need to happen with the help of the jungler more. Because last time it'll be more like a gank wise, but this one when it comes to like team fights, they're gonna have to and with the objective bounties too. They're now gonna focus on, hey, let's all push for the objective, get the gold early, then move back out quickly. So with that in mind, I think that's gonna be a huge impact towards the jungler. A lot of pressure, but a lot of like dependency. So that's
Hmm.
what I feel like that's gonna be a lot towards like on that position, the jungler and all that. I just want to move on a little bit. Oh,
Yeah.
you have something to say?
No, no, no. Go ahead.
I just want to end it right there and just move on. So I just want to just quickly move on to the items. That's something that we obviously that's just gonna be tested upon and be able to look at it. But I just do want to just quickly go over like these new items that I think that actually looks pretty cool. Crown of the Shadow Queen. I just want to talk about the safeguard passive. Your safeguarded reduces incoming damage by 75%. Safeguard person 1 for 5 if they take champion damage. 40%. 40-second cooldown restarts upon taking damage from an enemy champion. Restarts upon taking damage from an enemy champion. You're safeguarded. So I think that's actually a little bit broken. That's actually broken itself, especially when for mages. But again, when you think about it, mages are low in health naturally. So I think that's actually a pretty good thing for that. If even shroud, sorry, I'm just running it down on what these items are.
Hmm.
If even shroud, um, after immobilizing champion being immobilized, cause that target and non nearby to repent, increases damage they take for 12% for 5 seconds. That that item sounds a bit familiar. Like, what
First of
item
all,
was that? Oh,
what do you think is gonna be the number one item that people are gonna be rushing for? Like, you know how Gore Drinker is right now. It's
Shatter.
gonna be the.
I feel like for now for the mages it's gonna be Shatter Queen because
Mhm.
that gives you reduced incoming damage, and then like I said, as a mage you're naturally low health against other champion types. I feel like the mages and ADCs are at least the least health wise champions. So that's why giving them this new item will give some certain benefit for the mages and such AEP.
Yeah, and going into it in more detail, what do you think the supports? Because I think there's one item that took my attention by surprise. Actually, it was so supports. I think are also it's always ever changing from enchanter to engage and whatnot. And I think this meta and this previous patches, it was always about roaming supports. It was always about getting their first mobility boots, and then for enchanter supports, playing in peel comps has been definitely hard to deal with in the meta, because if you're able to just peel your hyper carry with a Lulu, for example, I think it was a Lulu Kog'Maw was is
Oh
dominating
yeah,
a couple of patches, and then now and the iterations of that is going to be like Lulu Vayne, Jarvan, Malphite. So it's like heavy peel comp that you
right.
really can't get into. I want to see like how those will be impacted by the new changes, right? What are the new kind of alteration in the meta that we're gonna see, that okay, supports are not gonna go Lulu, they're not gonna go Yumi, because healing is just gonna be and peeling is just gonna be difficult, right? Because it's some items. There's some that are just ridiculous. and the way they play. Yeah, and overall though, I think like when we still talk about the items, I think like individual changes like in preseason it's always like up in the air, right? That doing smaller balance changes to individual champion or whatever is like not worth it. We'll be touching these kind of like a general right
Right.
sense, Kim, because we really don't know, because right now, like I said, for my league we're doing the finals. On PBE we have to see a couple of changes. We have to do a couple of testing for the items, because I know some items are going to be banned, and that's the general consensus, um to just make things fair. And at the end of the day, is it going to be fair?
Right. No, I honestly, I don't really care what other leagues, what leagues do in terms of
Hmm.
like this new patch approach for this, but okay, it's a random game as it is, because as soon as something new comes out,
Hmm.
it's eventual. We just have to like test it out no matter what.
Yeah, and I think there's this auto smite thing going on. Junglers will see a new song, because we were
Oh,
speaking to
that's just.
junglers.
I think that's just ultimate spellbook. We don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, I want to talk a little bit about that, and then things like that, man. They also made it possible, I think, for you to, like the client is changing too. Like I'm always looking forward to the
Oh yeah,
client
yeah,
changes and spectator bugs. I hope they fix the spectator bugs where it's like a ghost or something. You don't have to backspace, because it throws off a lot when you're using a league broadcast software. For a lot of
yeah, yeah,
producers out there, no the problem with that gold and whatnot. But yeah, man, bugs already.
yeah,
I can't imagine. Like, there's gonna be hella videos on it on YouTube. So that's what I'm essentially waiting for here.
yeah,
Because some of these items there might get nerfed, like heavily nerfed. So that's why, like, initially, when every time I see a rumor about something, or like they're kind of in paper what they want to do, because Gore Drinker, they ended up nerfing it, and then Camille
oh yeah.
shot up to like 60% win rate in plat and above, like shot up, because she was a rocket, dude. You know what I'm saying?
I
And it
know. I know.
still is, I think, has high win rate in like plat above, because she doesn't rely on gorging, or she doesn't rely on that item. She's a divine sunder with the grass and the undying, so she's just chilling. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So those type of things, how hard are they gonna nerf it? How hard are they gonna approach some of these items? But I'm excited to see like new stuff, right? New interaction, new champion builds. Obviously, there's gonna be hella new champion builds, and maybe we might even see supports going to mid. I mean, that is possible.
Actually, you want to see some? You want to hear something nice? Apparently they're actually giving a mid a chance to fight, but this time is this item is spoken towards assassins. Axiom Arc. Whenever an enemy champion dies within 3 seconds after you damage them, refund 25% of your ultimate's total cooldown. You know who this item will be good for? Zed.
Oh, Zed is already a good spell pusher too. He's one of the good split pushers, assassin. I think you could use so much on that guy. Like, you could approach it so differently,
Yeah, but
and you could force out the enemy into you a lot of times. Like, you could split push. So
yeah.
this item has so many uses. I think.
I mean, not only Zed, but Kiana too. Those kind of bursty champions that just you can't even like once you get caught, then you're dead instantly. But this one, you get refunded 25% of your ultimate's total cooldown. So if Zed and Kiana's cooldown have now gone like I would say nerf, but gone down, just imagine, just imagine how impactful the freaking Zed ult will be. Just like instantly Zed, instantly Zed
Well,
ult.
we're seeing how like insta Lux ult is, right? With the final
Oh yeah,
spark, it's almost on Earth mode, right? So
yeah.
it's fucking ridiculous how you could actually go to lane, ult on the wave, go back to the fountain, get items, and by the time you walk back to lane, you just have it up again. I think I saw yesterday, I was casting, we're doing a best of 5 for the platinum division, and it was actually a very good one to watch, because it went to distance 5 games. And there was a point in time where the mid laner who's playing Lux would literally ult twice with final spark in a matter of 20 seconds, like 20 seconds apart. And I would just be like, okay, just call it an ability, dude. Just call it not an ultimate, call it regular ability at that point. Don't call it an ultimate, because that is not like a summoner. that's 40 seconds. That's on a 40-second cooldown. That would be like an ultimate, right? Like 40 seconds, 50 seconds. Okay, but if it's like 20 seconds, it's not an ultimate anymore. It's just a regular ability, and it's so annoying.
Right.
I thought that interaction was just ridiculous because not only the junglers are already sweating because they have a Lux on the other side. Like you have to land your smites, you have to go up to the Baron pit, you have to go to the Drake pit, knowing that there's a Lux on the other side. You're already kind of nervous
I
because
mean,
in these high adrenaline and high stakes team fights and high stake games, those things do matter.
unless you're Morgana, you can just spell shoot your way out of there. It's like, oh, there's Lux, and I'm just spell shoot. I'm out of there. But
Yeah.
yeah. Well,
But for Zed to have a cooldown, like, you know what I'm saying, for his ultimate, it's like, what are we doing now? Like, what are we doing now? Like,
it's basically a mage versus assassin theory now. Because when you think about it, they're giving more chances on the assassins, but at the same time they're buffing more on on the tankiness of mages.
yeah, tankiness of mages. Obviously, they have to do something about the tankiness of the mages if they're gonna give, for example, such a cooldown for assassins to burst anybody. So I don't know if in the bigger scale of things, like these items are gonna balance against each other. Because obviously, if you're against a Zed who's also a lot of macro wise, he's good playing from Fog of War or split pushing. Not a lot of grouping in my opinion, because you always want to be around where you're able to attack when they don't see you. So it's like for Zed to pick up the side lane, and then now you really can't do anything against him because guess what? Like he does get away first and foremost, and then Kiana, for example, who just lives for team fights around like chaotic places, revels in chaos. It
Hmm.
might be problematic to have these ultimates on such short cooldown, and then have these other side beefy mid laners. Like I don't know if that's gonna be something that gonna be enjoyable to watch. But like I said though, Kim, like for me, I hold out until like I see like more research on it and how like items are interacting.
Yeah.
There was bugs with the rune pages for Kale. There was a lot of bugs with the Conqueror, things like that, man. That do happen a lot. Viego
Yeah.
was so buggy, dude.
Oh
Viego
yeah.
with DC. There's also a bug on Nocturne previous patches that got hotfix where you essentially, if you take a turret when Nocturne's paranoia was up, the whole game DCs. And I'm just saying this from perspective of like a 5v5 amateur tournament caster standpoint of view, and I don't know how many people would even care about that, but these little things for me like go a long way in seeing
Oh
how
yeah.
longevity of the game, especially in the new season.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I was gonna say I was surprised when you said Nocturne when the whole game DCs whenever you're in
Yeah,
paranoia. I was like,
everybody, yeah.
well, you had me at paranoia. Now I know exactly what I can do to piss people off. I was
Yeah, dude. No, yeah, we had to ban people or we had to reprimand people from saying, and also a patch where Mordekaiser are ultimate. Like you could literally, if you're Lucian, you could ult when Mordekaiser is ulting, and it hits him, dude. It hits him in his ultimate. You could be Varus and throwing arrows in his ultimate if you could just track him. And guess what? You can track him, because you could see like his movement right in his
right.
ultimate. So like those little things is what I look forward to instead of like yeah, I like the idea of having cooldown reduction on Zed. Perfect. Now what's next? How is that gonna change the meta? How is that gonna be super broken? Because like I'm pretty sure we're gonna get like patch 11.24 hot fixes like right after 23.
Yeah, definitely. Anyways, moving on to this. Next item, we're gonna go on to Shadowflame, a magic penetration item. Damages champions benefits from 10 to 20 magic penetration based on the target's current health. Maximum value of 1,000 or less. Minimum value of 2,500 or more health. Gains the maximum magic penetration if the target was recently affected by shields. That part, I'm not sure what they mean by that. If the target was recently affected by shield, so as in like if someone gave that person a shield, they
Here's
gain.
what I think, bro. Like, forget about shields, forget about everything. Just remove smite, bro. Just remove smite. It balances out the entire jungle, dude. It just makes it fun again. Like,
But what's the point of 5v5s then? You need the
just
smite for the
just
objective.
remove smite, bro. It's very radical, but like, I'm 100% behind that. Like, why do we need it? Like, here's the thing. Jungles, every lane you go, like, and you have the per capita say how much they get flamed. Jungle is like out, like on the top. Like everybody's just fucking roast junglers in solo queue for not securing objectives. But when you look at it, your bot lane is 0-5 in inting, and then you're complaining about the jungle not securing drags. Dude, he doesn't have priority. He doesn't have priority to contest anything. Just remove Smite. It'll be a better day. And just change what buffs could do. Like change how buffs, like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I know.
I and then it makes the game super fun to watch because now it's you can't just smite a Baron 50-50. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like
Right.
it's gonna be super like, dude, how interesting would it be to fight around an objective 5v5 without having a smite on the team? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
you're contesting objectives, your macro gameplay is going to be different, everything is going to look a lot different. So I don't know, man, I'm for radical changes as well, but I'm for like something that entirely, like, it's a new season, bro.
No, I know.
You know, make
Uh,
remove smite for 2 patches. Like, what's going to happen?
tell that to
You know.
Riot then. Tell that to Riot then. Don't think about it. Okay. Anyways, oh, this one is actually I like it because I think this one will best. I think you will like this proof. This is called this item is called Winter's Approach, and this is basically a Braum item for support.
I think I
Anyways,
talked about it, right? I think it's the mana one. I don't know if
yeah,
that
it's
was
the
that one.
mana one. But this one,
Yeah.
I thought of it. I looked at it. I was like, oh, I like this one because especially you bring it on Braum. This is
Mhm.
actually a really good item on Braum because
Yeah.
he would need the mana approach as much as possible, and with that much amount of mana you gain, that he could just be throwing Qs all day and starting team not starting team fights, countering team fights with his ults and being able to save enough mana due to this kind of item, the Thimble Winter too, and
Hmm.
this kind of thing, I thought it was like, oh geez, imagine how
Hmm.
OP Brown would be with this item. Just because you could jump to people, gain a shield with the shield, and using the Q to slow people down, and stunning people, immobilizing a champion. All
Hmm.
five especially. This is right here. Consumes 3% of current mana and gains a shield for 3 seconds, absorbing
Yeah,
120.
it's
Yeah, blah blah blah
it's a
blah.
good shield item.
It's right here. The shield is increased by 80% if more than one enemy is nearby. So if you manage to start this is really good for team fights too. Like I said, the Braum
Exactly.
ult
Yeah.
would actually do that. That's oh my gosh. I will
Yeah.
love this, but people will hate
Not
people
only
are
that, not only that, like other champions who have like shielding mechanics, and like I would even say for Shen, like an item thrown in there, like for not his shield, but I don't know how that would interact with his W, right? That's also another thing.
right.
But yeah, for just literal shielding on the unbreakable that the ROM has, this is gonna make the game super more interesting for him, I think. And in competitive play, like Zazel, who was playing him, and I think the reason why he had difficult time on Cloud 9 after the nerfs and stuff for first the Guardian rune tree, and then on the whole support meta. I think this will put Braum at least A tier, like S tier almost, if you just abuse it, and if you're able to abuse it like repetitively. Like, I don't know what the cooldown on it is, but
It won't matter anyways. With that item, Braum is OP. Stand
yeah.
by Braum.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You just peel so many, like your shielding becomes more tailored towards your VIPs. Even I think the lantern would be useful there for the
Oh
thresh
yeah,
at that
yeah.
point. Things like that. I think.
Oh, you made a good point actually, especially with the E. If you actually bring people back, won't it slow people down a little bit, and that actually creates a shield for you regardless. So you get double the shields with the item with Thresh.
Yeah,
So with
yeah.
the E, the shield, and the W, another shield. So that's with that stack. To be honest, that's another question. With that stack,
Well, here's what I said earlier, right? Like, we'll see how that, like, because some of these items, like, when you look at it and it's just like, okay, somebody went creative as fucking all get out on paper, but is it gonna stack? Because if it's gonna stack, then guess what? That's just gonna be. I'll just draft all tanky members who utilize, like, Garen, dude. fucking W. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
Garen W on top of Lantern for from Thresh. Like just think about um everybody's just gonna be building that.
Yeah. Especially no, this is I feel like I said, this is gonna be either a support item. Oh, I know for sure this is gonna be a support item or a top item, because this one is gonna be a lot for tanks, a lot for like supportive tanks and all that too. So I'm excited to see on this item especially. So, anyways,
What was it called? Winter's what?
Winter's approach.
Winter's approach. Yeah, I think like they're going for Sejuani. They're going for the
Oh yeah, yeah,
glacial.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They're going. They I already know, bro, the lore behind that.
I feel yeah, I
Yeah,
feel like this is gonna be more
I
like
think
I don't know. I feel this is what I feel like. I feel like this is gonna be on the Freljord champions a lot. So because they have
no, it is. It is an item in thing. I think Wild Rift. Actually, I think.
yeah, it
Like
did
I don't
say
know.
no, it did say on the lore it did say on the description, thanks Wild Rift.
Oh yeah, that's. I think it's a similar item to like Iceborne Gauntlet. I think
Yeah.
Iceborne Gauntlet in the beginning of the season was super like abusive in the top lane. Like a lot like Cho'Gath was just going Iceborne Gauntlet. Everybody was going
Oh
Iceborne
yeah,
Gauntlet,
yeah.
and then they had to nerf him. So like I think it's one of those items that's gonna be super good. For health, for mana, and then like the passive, right? Is gonna be really good.
Okay. Anyways, going to the runes now. This is where we're gonna focus upon the new rune for inspiration, first strike. But also, I feel sad about this. They removed prototype Omni Stone. Man, and we thought Omni Stone Echo was so good.
Well, Echo is just good, man. Echo with what is it?
Predator.
Um,
I think Predator was good on Echo before, but I think now with like Omni Stone before, that was just as good as it was.
I mean Dark Harvest, right?
Oh
Like
yeah, Dark
Echo.
Harvest. That's right. That's right.
Yeah,
Dark
yeah, yeah.
Harvest.
Dark Harvest with Echo, and then you just go Nashor's Tooth if you're against a tanky player, or if you just go Lichbane if you're against like squishies that you could just assassinate, right? So I don't know. I don't know. I think Echo deserves always deserves a spot in the meta, but you don't see him outside of solo queue that much, and
Mhm.
it'll be awesome to see him like his mechanics for W easier to land. I think if they make that like with an item, or I don't know, like if they make him more mobile or shorter cooldowns for his W,
Mhm.
I think that would make him so good because he's not only good against like he's good late game, but he just falls against like these aggressive junglers and they just out rotate him, out gank him. He relies heavily on vision too, so that's another thing. I don't know how vision items are going to be next season, but I'm looking forward to seeing creative solutions to modern day problems. Things like that.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna just get on real quick on this one. As we go by, because we're almost done here. So, the ruins here, first strike. This one's. I
Yeah.
feel like everyone's gonna be getting this. Everyone will be just
Oh
getting
hell
this.
yeah.
Yeah. Because especially you getting gold and a huge damage boost. So,
Hmm.
regardless, everyone will be getting this along with glacial. Oh no, it's one or the other. I think. So I think it makes a
It gives free
challenge.
gold. I
Yeah.
think it feel free gold and bonus true damage, right? I think it's like 2100 free gold. Somebody's doing a test on it, and it's very broken. Like you could
Right.
play this on a Kali. You could play this on so many mid laners or assassins, better yet. And essentially you act like kind of like Twisted Fate, dude. You just get gold out of nowhere. Um, I don't know. I think it's definitely for carries for sure. I think.
All right. Again, I think that the first strike inspiration rune is just. I think it doesn't make I don't like it because everyone's gonna get it now from top mid jungle. No, not jungle. Jungle has already had their own set anyways.
Mhm.
Top. It's the laners. It's the laners when you think about it, because the laners they need gold to catch up to the lane pressure and all that too. So
Yeah.
they're everyone's gonna be getting the inspiration rune a lot. So that's I'm not liking that for the second there.
Well, if you just want to do bonus damage, you definitely want to just get first strike. That's it. Like that's just the simple
Right.
way of talking about it. If you want to just do bonus damage in lane, just get first strike. And I think that's why the carries will just abuse it. I think even in bot lane you could just do this. Like I don't think you have to. it has to just be limited to top lane or just mid lane, right? If you're an
Yeah.
ADC and you just want to damage an enemy champion, you want to go for short trades and you want to use abilities a lot before they do, or within, I don't know what the rule is, like 0.25 seconds of the start of the combat, you just get like 5 gold. You just get 5 gold, causing your attacks to do, I think for 3 seconds, 3 seconds to do 12% or 14%. I don't know the exact number is, but like bonus damage against all champions. So, um, yeah, I don't know if you just wanna get ahead in lane. I think this is a good idea. This is a
All right.
good rule.
All right. Finishing off with this episode, I want to I want your opinion on the ultimate draft comp. I did mention that there's gonna be ideas on draft comps. How with this season, this whole patch notes, champions, certain champions are now gonna be broken as F right now. So I'm thinking it's like, in your opinion, list one champion from every position: top, jungle, mid, bot, support. Which champion will be the ultimate champion to like it doesn't have to be together. The best champion
Hmm.
to fit in.
I think I think a lot of the champions that we didn't see this season definitely should make a comeback. Like they're already going that route, like the Hecarim, Ingenious Hunter, Predator. Even you could use it on Veigar, the Predator build, and we've seen Bruiser Kiana. So like very interesting stuff coming out in the later patches of the season. So I want to see a continuation of that in the new season. Definitely having a good idea of how this matchup, or just how like changing these rudimentary things that we know about league will obviously change a lot about which champions we think are relevant in the meta. um and obviously they're going to be releasing new champions too, right? So I want to see some good new champions for support. I think it's well deserved, and I think a lot of the meta is going to rely on macro. I think that's what I'm going to say. Not just one champion, not just laners. I think it's going to heavily rely on teams and how they communicate throughout the game. Because as a college player, well, like three years ago, I don't know, I feel old, but it always was the support. Just your role was to block attacks and ward. Like that's what it was. Block attacks, make sure your VIPs are safe. That's very basic. But what I think we should watch out for here is how supports not only impacting their bot lane but the rest of the map, and I want to see more of that, right? And then
Mm-hmm.
implementing the ingenious hunter, predator, like these smart builds to, and I think it's the same thing for Ezreal, right? Utilize that stacking the tier faster. So at like 12 minutes, you already got your power spike. So it's like for Ezreal, that is so good. Like playing these late game champions and making them early game. And if you could find a way to do that on any single champion, I think that's gonna be the most broken champion. Like getting your power spikes early is gonna be the name of the game. And I think what I'm looking forward to here in this particular season is the macro for teams and how they're able to secure objectives and then win games off of that.
All right. I okay. I would say that I'll be down with that, but where I
Yeah.
I said, give me your best ultimate draft comps, meaning, what
Hmm.
champions do you think is the strongest of all of each position? So give me the strongest top, give me the strongest jungle mid and all that too.
Right now, or who I
Yeah,
think is going to be
going to be in this
going
patch.
to be okay. Going to be now that's like I think for support, definitely engage supports, shielding. I think Akali is gonna be deadly. I think Akali definitely is gonna be deadly in the mid lane. You could play her top
Okay.
lane, I think, with the first strike. So I'm gonna go with Akali here as my pick for both top and bot. I think for top,
Oh.
I'll go for top lane. I'll just say one thing. I think if you're able to play Garen,
Oh
like
yeah, no, Garen's too OP on top, no matter what.
yeah, no matter what. And if you're able to play Camille, I think Camille with
Oh yeah.
shielding, the interaction and the new items that we're gonna see, like I want to see how broken she could get. So I think my two picks for top is gonna be Camille and possibly like a dark horse Garen. I want to see how
Okay.
like he fares with the new objectives because he usually is good split pushing. and then now you get like all these like the Scion thing and there's other things on the map. So if you're able to get ahead in lane in terms of like clear waves and then go group up bot, I think it's going to be definitely something to watch out for here. And it has to do with a lot of comfort picks too. That's why I'm just used to seeing like comfort picks on champions. It's
All right.
okay. Let me just move on for ADC. I think the champion that's definitely going to benefit the most. Um, I don't know from these changes. I don't know who it's gonna be. I don't have like an argument for a certain ADC. I think all
Okay.
of them fall under the same category. I want to see Samira back in kind of like
Oh, okay.
S tier. Like I want to see Samira being useful in AOE and mages. I think Lux. I would say
Oh yeah,
mage
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Lux, ADC Samira. I want to see what they do with this champion and how she's able to use um, even first strike, right, and how she's able to team fight.
What about jungle? You didn't mention about jungle.
Oh, I don't know. I
you
don't know about
you
jungle.
don't know about jungle? Okay.
I
Well,
don't know. I don't really care about jungle because I just said remove smite, bro. Like I don't care if I main echo. Like I just think remove smite and just play anybody in the jungle makes it more interesting. Um, in my opinion, that's just my take on jungle right now.
all right, here's my picks on this one. Go. I'm just gonna go. I'm just gonna quickly go just to finish things off. For the top lane, I feel like Jace or Set will be the strongest because now with
Hmm.
this kind of patch notes that with this kind of patch that Jace when you get hit with the Q, the empowered Q with the E, that and not only with the glacial augment that's gonna slow you down. Imagine how much OP can Jace can rush you at no matter what. When he goes past that E, your movement speed increases and you could just jump right in. Set also, on the other hand, imagine you get hit by E that's slowing you down. You also
Hmm.
gain a shield by that with that item, the Fimble Winter, that is not only his natural damage is gonna OP, but that W though that's gonna hurt a lot.
The
Because he,
haymaker, right? Yep.
yeah, the haymaker a lot. On the jungle side, I agree with you. There's no point of junglers being able to like affect like the team fight situations or any kind of like any kind of comebacks. But I do feel like no matter what, Olaf and Jin Zhao are the strongest.
Hmm.
Because Jin Zhao
Yeah,
is the best duelist.
Zin's out. Yeah, definitely. If Gore Drinker, I don't know what they're gonna do with the Gore Drinker. I don't know if they released anything on that yet. But yeah, Zinzao, I don't know where he's at in the solo queue. I think in the lower elo he's doing all right, but in the higher elo, as high you go, I think the most people who are abusing the meta are the ones who are seeing better win rates, and I think it's the Hecarim. I think if anybody,
Hecarim?
I'm gonna
Okay.
say Lee Sin and Hecarim for the
Oh
jungle
yeah.
here. Lee Sin is definitely gonna be, I think, up there, especially in the beginning of the season, and then Hecarim is always really good because of just the recent buffs for him. So I think I don't know how much percentage of win rate he has, but just imagine using Predator and roaming around the map
Oh
is going to
yeah,
make you
yeah.
snowball faster. And I think if you snowball faster, you're able to get more objectives, right? So I think if you're getting that, what is that, Chemtech, whatever, Hextech, Gates, and Chemtech stuff,
Oh
it's like,
yeah. This is a good thing for
yeah,
Hecarim. Okay, I guess so.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's gonna be dangerous. So I don't know. We'll see what happens, bro.
Okay.
But anyway, thank you for this, man. And obviously hope your league goes well. I didn't research a lot for the bugs and everything like that right now, but I wish you had spoken to me maybe a week later. I would have told you how my final went. But yeah, man, good luck with that. Good luck with everything you got going on.
Yeah.
And keep at it, bro. I hope more people join your league. How many do you think are going to be participating for this first split?
For the MSI, I think that only 3 organizations are will attend, but we'll see
Hmm.
about that. But frankly, um, again, I'm just gonna make sure I confirm everything else. But yeah. So, anyways, thank you.
Yeah, man.
I'll just let me to end this right here. Thank you, Proof,
Mhm.
so much for joining this episode for this first episode of the League Lounge here. Any shout outs, or anything else that you wanted to like call out to?
No, man. Thank you for having me. That's all I'm gonna say. But yeah, I be hosting a lot of leagues things in the past couple of months, and my brain is fried. Yesterday I had a best of five, and day before that I had a best of five, both which were five
Oh,
hour streams. So you're just catching me on the back of two very long days for me. But
yikes!
yeah, if anybody wants to know more, or just feel free, if you guys want to follow me on Twitter, proof click there, and that's about it. I do play by play, so I'm not the smartest in the game, right? I do play by play, but yeah, hopefully I'll catch you guys, and hopefully you guys support Kim on his objective here to make the monthly tournaments happen.
All right, thank you so much, Proof. And as always, that is the first episode of the League Lounge. We will see you guys later on until we get a certain schedule in for posting these kind of talk show episodes. So we will see you guys later. Thank you. Bye bye.